Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders have officially signaled the end of the season for quarterback Jayden Daniels. And while some fans might see this as a disappointment for the organization, it marks the beginning of a pivotal moment that could define the next year. With 3 games remaining in the schedule, the season itself may technically still exist on paper, but for Daniels, it has already concluded. He will continue practicing, rehabbing, and preparing his body and mind for what is expected to be a transformative offseason. This decision was undoubtedly difficult, but it reflects the reality that the team must prioritize the long-term health of its young quarterback and give him a chance to step into the next season stronger and more prepared. Daniels' absence on the field now places an enormous amount of pressure on General Manager Adam Peters, who is facing arguably the most critical juncture of his tenure in Washington, as he must capitalize on every opportunity in the coming months to reshape this roster into a competitive unit capable of supporting its young signal caller. Looking back, Peters' previous offseason moves are likely a source of regret for many fans and analysts alike. Decisions surrounding free agency, particularly the failure to address key positions and the choice to bring back shaky players, have left the roster thinner and more vulnerable than anticipated. Now, with Daniels sidelined for the remainder of the campaign, Peters' clock for the offseason has officially started, and the urgency to act has never been greater. The general manager will need to balance immediate roster needs with long-term strategic planning, making decisions that will not only affect the team's performance next year, but could set the foundation for a sustained period of success, while free agency, the draft, and strategic trades all lie ahead. The Commanders must move quickly and decisively to avoid another year of missed opportunities and growing frustration among the fanbase. The roster itself reflects just how much work is needed. Overall, the Commanders squad is rough around the edges and requires a comprehensive rebuild, particularly as they head into an offseason with 22 current free agents. Many of these departing players are starters on both sides of the ball, and replacing them will be essential to the team's success moving forward. Additionally, some of the older veterans are on the wrong side of 30, and the team must make hard choices about whether to let go of certain long-tenured players to prioritize youth and upside, complicating matters. Several starters who will be critical for the upcoming season, including pass rusher Dorrance Armstrong, are currently battling injuries that could jeopardize their availability at the start of next season. Financially, the Commanders will have a respectable amount of salary cap space to maneuver, but they lack the draft capital they once possessed, having traded away a second-round and a fourth-round pick to acquire offensive lineman Laramie Tunsil. This creates a situation where Peters must be extremely strategic in how he approaches both free agency and the draft, maximizing every decision to improve the roster around Daniels. On offense, the most urgent priority is giving Daniels more weapons to work with. The season demonstrated the consequences of relying too heavily on players who were either injury-prone or inconsistent. The Commanders plan to rely on Noah Brown as a starting wide receiver never had a strong foundation, and Brown's health struggles only exacerbated the problem. Similarly, Terry McLaurin's absence for much of the offseason and the regular season due to injury left Daniels without a proven go-to target. As a result, the offense lacked the depth and explosive playmakers necessary to consistently challenge opposing defenses. The recent trade for Deebo Samuel was a commendable attempt to address this need, but even Samuel has not delivered the level of impact many expected. Moving forward, Peters must adopt a mindset similar to that of teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who maintain deep and talented wide receiver rooms while still targeting top prospects like Emeka Egbuka in the draft. For the Commanders, this means aggressively pursuing players such as Alec Pierce in free agency and carefully evaluating draft options like Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, and Makai Lemon, who could provide immediate and long-term value. Daniels' development depends on having multiple reliable options around him, not just band-aid solutions or practice squad call-ups. The defensive side of the ball, however, is where the Commanders face the most daunting challenge. It is no secret that the defense has been one of the worst units in the league, forcing Daniels to operate from behind in half of the games this season. The team's coaching staff, scheme, and personnel all require a complete overhaul. Peters' first task is to hire a true defensive coordinator capable of elevating the group's performance and potentially introducing a new scheme better suited to the existing players once that hire is made. The next step is evaluating the roster and aggressively filling the holes via free agency and the draft. A competent and opportunistic defense will directly benefit Daniels by generating turnovers, forcing stops on third down, and giving the offense more opportunities to control the game without constantly playing catch-up. The relationship between offensive efficiency and defensive performance cannot be overstated, particularly when the team has frequently faced double-digit deficits. Improving the defense will not only protect Daniels, but also provide him the freedom to make better decisions and manage the game more effectively. Beyond roster construction, the offseason represents a critical window for Daniels himself to focus on personal growth. He will need to prioritize recovery, refine his mechanics, improve decision-making under pressure, and enhance his overall football IQ. The ability to come back stronger physically and mentally will be crucial, especially as he enters a season with elevated expectations and a roster that Peters is working tirelessly to upgrade. Every throw, every decision, and every interaction in training camp will be magnified. And Daniels must be ready to seize the opportunities created by a well-constructed roster and an improved coaching staff for Peters. This means that the pressure to deliver cannot be overstated, as the alignment of talent, coaching, and development will determine whether the Commanders can compete at a meaningful level or continue to struggle. Salary cap management, free agent signings, draft decisions, and internal development will all intertwine to define the team's trajectory. Peters must identify which veteran players can be retained to provide leadership and which should be replaced by younger, more dynamic athletes. The draft strategy must balance immediate contributors with long-term upside, focusing on areas such as offensive weapons, pass rushers, and secondary playmakers. This process will require both a meticulous understanding of player evaluation and a willingness to take calculated risks. The Commanders' front office cannot afford incremental moves that offer limited upside. They need bold, decisive action in every facet of roster construction to create a team capable of competing in the highly competitive NFC East. Ultimately, the decision to shut down Jayden Daniels for the remainder of the season may feel like a setback, but in reality, it is the starting gun for one of the most important off-seasons in franchise history. Peters now faces a task that will test every skill he possesses as a general manager. He must rework a struggling roster, upgrade a defense that has been historically weak, provide Daniels with sufficient weapons on offense, and create a culture of accountability and competitiveness. The alignment of these elements will determine whether the Commanders remain in the lower tier of the league or emerge as a legitimate contender. For fans, the offseason is the time to watch and evaluate the team's decisions, and for Daniels, it is a chance to prepare himself for a season where he can finally play in an environment built for success. The clock is ticking, and every move Peters makes will be scrutinized. But the potential for transformation is real if the team approaches this offseason with clarity, urgency, and a willingness to make bold, calculated moves that position Jayden Daniels and the Commanders for future success. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The whispers coming out of the locker room have been getting louder, and the name at the center of it all is Jayden Daniels. The story being told behind closed doors is not about a single play or a single game, but about a boiling point that may have finally been reached. According to people who claim to be close to the situation, Daniels allegedly lost control in a way that shocked even veteran voices. Inside the Commanders organization, the mood, they say, shifted from uncomfortable silence to raw confrontation, and the words that echoed through the room were not rehearsed, filtered, or polished for public consumption. The phrase that keeps circulating is simple but heavy, a confession wrapped in frustration, something along the lines of being tired of pretending that everything is fine, when it clearly is not. What makes this rumor so compelling is the context surrounding it. Jayden Daniels arrived carrying expectations, pressure, and the unspoken responsibility of being a symbol of hope. In public, the image has always been controlled, calm, professional, the kind of presence that reassures fans and teammates alike. Privately, however, the story being told paints a very different picture. Insiders suggest that the tension had been building slowly, day after day, meeting after meeting, practice after practice, until the weight of it all became impossible to hide. When someone reaches that point, the locker room becomes more than a place to change uniforms. It becomes a pressure cooker where honesty can erupt in unpredictable ways. The alleged outburst was not just about one decision or one miscommunication, the way it is being described. It was a release of everything that had been bottled up. There are claims that Daniels questioned the direction of the team, the messaging from the coaching staff, and the constant demand to project confidence while internally feeling uncertainty. Those who supposedly witnessed the moment say his voice carried the exhaustion of someone who feels trapped between loyalty and truth. The words were emotional, not calculated. And that is exactly why they have resonated so strongly in the rumor mill. People are not just talking about what was said, but about what it reveals within the Commanders. Reactions are rumored to be mixed. Some teammates are said to have been stunned, unsure how to process seeing a leader so visibly shaken. Others, according to speculation, felt a strange sense of relief, as if someone had finally said out loud what many had been thinking quietly. In environments like this, silence can be heavier than noise. And when that silence is broken, it can either divide or unite. The question hanging in the air is, which direction this moment will push the team? Moments like these have a way of redefining relationships, shifting power dynamics, and forcing uncomfortable conversations that can no longer be postponed. From the outside, fans are left piecing together fragments, reading between the lines of body language, press conference answers, and subtle changes in tone. Jayden Daniels has always been careful with his words in front of cameras, but speculation suggests that the mask may be slipping. The idea that he is tired of pretending suggests a deeper struggle, not just with performance, but with identity and expectation. Being the face of a franchise is not just about talent, it is about emotional endurance. And not everyone talks openly about how draining that can be. There is also talk that this incident could be a turning point, for better or worse. Some believe it could force the organization to confront issues that have been ignored, to listen more closely to the voices inside the locker room, rather than focusing solely on optics. Others fear it could create fractures, especially if those in charge choose to downplay or dismiss the emotional weight of what happened. Rumors suggest that meetings behind closed doors have taken on a more serious tone, with less scripted optimism and more difficult questions being asked. Jayden Daniels, in this speculative narrative, is not being portrayed as a villain or a hero, but as a human being pushed to his limit. The phrase about being tired of pretending resonates because it reflects something universal: the exhaustion of carrying expectations while suppressing doubt. Whether this moment becomes a catalyst for growth or a symbol of deeper dysfunction remains unclear, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps people talking. In the world of professional sports, where narratives are often tightly controlled, any glimpse of raw emotion becomes amplified as the rumor continues to circulate. One thing is clear: the Commanders are no longer just dealing with external pressure from fans and media, but with internal questions about trust, communication, and authenticity. Jayden Daniels may have said more in that alleged moment than he ever intended, and those words, real or embellished through repetition, have taken on a life of their own, until someone steps forward to confirm or deny what truly happened. The speculation will continue to grow, feeding debates, opinions, and theories, and in that space between truth and rumor, the story of a quarterback who supposedly lost control becomes a mirror reflecting the fragile balance between image and reality in professional sports. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.